Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode on the Endicott Invest channel. Get the dog sitting in the background. Today, we're going to talk about Nebius. So, Nebius, seriously, to me, it just seems like now they're in hyper growth mode. They're going to grow 500% this year. But just the amount of news that comes out from the retail community, from the company themselves, just macro wise as well, from Meta just acquired a company called Moldbook, and just more inference compute demand increasing. I mean, every week there's like 5 to 10 different things I can cover. And so I just wanted to hop on today and kind of cover a bunch of different pieces. Some big news that Nebius dropped yesterday and today, but also just more retail information across the community as we have a bunch of nerds that do a great job covering the name. First, as we typically do, go ahead and talk about price action. So looking at the stock, currently, as of right now, it's 2:40 p.m. Eastern, almost towards market close. The stock is up 2% today. Yesterday, it was up a whopping like 6%. It started the day at like $85. On Sunday night, the macro was down. The S&P 500 and the QQQ was down like 2 to 3%, both because of the Iran nature of the war. And then Trump yesterday basically said, "Oh, it's going to end sooner than you guys think." Which, who knows if he's lying or not? Doesn't really matter. Either way, the market reacted positively to that news, and so that's why we kind of saw a crazy upswing on Nebius. Again, it's probably going to hit that $100 wall for the 5 billionth time and come back down, but that's currently the stock price. Stock is up around 2.6% today. Now, the first piece of news I want to cover is Nebius names Dan Lawrence to lead expansion in the U.S. as the senior VP and general manager for the Americas. So, um, go ahead and go over just this. Based in the Boston area, Lawrence is tasked with significantly scaling Nebius' regional go-to-market engine across 4 key customer segments: strategic, enterprise, ISV, and AI native. As Nebius continues building out gigawatts of capacity in the US, Lawrence will ramp up the teams and support operational foundations required to capture demand in the company's key market and support customers deploying next generation AI workloads. Lawrence brings deep expertise building and operating cloud businesses at a multi billion-dollar scale. Most recently, he served as the Senior VP of Global Sales for Cloud at Acme Technologies, where he built a go to market model and rapidly scaled a compute business to approach $1 billion in revenue. Prior to Acme, Lawrence held senior leadership roles at Amazon Web Services, managing global enterprise engagements and supporting hyperscale cloud, AI, and next generation infrastructure business. Yes. So you heard that right. He is or was at AWS for around 5 years, I believe. So if we go ahead and take a look here at his LinkedIn. Yeah, so he was the Senior VP of Global Sales Cloud at Acme Technologies. He was then also at AWS from 2019 to 2024 for around 5 years, and it was a part of that business as well. So again, just another healthy person on board that's going to help scale Nebius. Was a part of AWS, part of another cloud computing company, and so again, just a great hire moving forward. Mark Borditsky, the CRO, had this to say. So he said, "The Americas is a fantastic market for Nebius, and Dan is joining us at a pivotal moment as we deploy significant new compute capacity across the US and expand our sales and distribution. He brings a strong track record of building high performance, go to market organizations and successfully scaling cloud businesses to the $1 billion mark. As we rapidly expand our footprint in the Americas, Dan's hyperscaler experience and builder mindset are exactly what we need to accelerate our growth in the world's largest market for AI." Dan Lawrence then said, "We're at the inflection point in computing. Empowering the next wave of AI requires a fundamentally different kind of cloud. Nebius stands out for 3 reasons. First, the team has the rare engineering DNA to design and operate the entire stack." I fully agree, by the way. That's why I invested in the company. Second, the company's strong financial position allows us to deploy capital and a capacity at a unique scale. And third, the pace of software innovation here is extraordinary. I'm excited to help build our presence in the Americas and bring this purpose-built AI cloud platform to builders across the region. Lawrence's appointment marks another major step in Nebius' rapid expansion, following the recent approval of its first gigawatt scale AI factory. That was the one in Independence, Missouri, I covered last week. As one of the world's largest independent AI cloud players, Nebius is aggressively expanding its geographical footprint globally. So that was the first piece of news that Nebius dropped yesterday. Now, next up was someone in the community. So again, as I'm sure most of you know his name, Manuel does a great job covering Nebius. He posted yesterday, "I just found evidence that Nebius is launching a co-location facility in Madrid after digging through the company's job listings. They're currently hiring data center IT managers to work on site there. Now, again, that was just a piece he dropped. He looked at the job postings on Nebius' website and saw they're hiring some IT data managers there. And on that note, again, we have our man. I don't know how to pronounce his name, so I'm not going to even attempt to butcher it. But he's also been tracking the hiring data. And so he kind of commented that something's interesting going on here. So I've been tracking Nebius' hiring data, and something interesting is happening. Job postings keep trending higher, but there's also a lot of rotation into inactive role positions appear and disappear quickly, which usually means they're being filled as fast as the company scales. This week, we also saw key leadership hires for the Americas and Asia Pacific. I'll talk about that in a second. Nebius is building the global commercial engine to match the gigawatt of AI capacity coming online. These moves should start showing up for financials over the next 1 to 2 quarters. So again, here's just more of he's following the job positions here. So you can see here, estimated job positions went from, I think this is around 50 to at some point in the middle of March 320, down to around 215 now. And so you can see ever since their pretty much their earnings, which is interesting by the way, ever since their earnings, they've kind of been scaling the workforce monitor he built here or as using here. You also can see on the company website themselves, they have 303 open roles. This is talked about Dan Lawrence. And then the next piece is about John Hare for Asia Pacific. So let's hop into that. So this is the second piece of news that Nebius dropped today, or really last night, super late, or today for Singapore, but this was like 9, 10, 11 p.m. last night. So they're expanding into the Asia Pacific region. So again, like I've been saying, guys, it just feels like every week they're moving into a new market. They're getting this data center. They're acquiring this guy. They're releasing this new model or partnering with this new client. Guys, they're in hyper growth, which is super exciting to cover and super excited as an investor. Makes the story and the thesis even that much more exciting. But yeah, so they're expanding into Asia Pacific region to support rapid global growth. So again, the leading AI cloud company to build out presence in Asia Pacific to tap the recent growth potential names John Hare as the GM for Asia Pacific and Japan to drive commercial expansion. Company is in a hypergrowth trajectory following 479% revenue growth in 2025 in contract wins with hundreds of customers from AI native to large enterprises. So again, this was released in Singapore. The AI cloud company today announced the expansion of its operation in the Asia Pacific region as it seeks to capture surging global demand for purpose-built AI infrastructure. The company has appointed John Hare as GM for Asia Pacific and Japan to lead its commercial growth across the region. Reporting to the CRO, Mark Borditsky, Hare will be based in Singapore and will oversee the company's commercial expansion across the region through key markets, including Singapore, Japan, South Korea, and India. He'll bring over a decade of experience driving go-to-market efforts in the region of global technology leaders, including Cloudflare and Twilio. So again, as we know, Cloudflare is a customer of Nebius, and I bet that had a little piece of play as to why he either A, got recruited to Nebius or why he wanted to leave Cloudflare and go to Nebius. Just saying, it's speculation, but I bet that's a big piece as he saw what Nebius is doing, saw how impactful they were for Cloudflare, and either Nebius loved working with him or he loved working with Nebius, vice versa. Either way, I think it's not a coincidence that he worked at Cloudflare, and now they partnered together, and now he's working at Nebius, right? In my opinion, just speculation here. But I'll continue to read here. So reporting, so I went over that. Over the past year, we have taken our first steps into Asian markets, winning our first customers and building the foundation for rapid expansion in the region, said the CRO. The appointment of a leader like John reinforces this commitment. He brings deep regional experience from scaling major tech companies across the Asia Pacific, and he joins in a moment when demand for purpose-built AI infra is accelerating across every major market in the region. Asia is one of the world's most exciting regions for AI, and Nebius is a cloud that is powering the next wave of AI innovation, said John. So I'm excited to join the company with some of the world's most talented engineers, which will be pivotal at a pivotal moment for the business. As we ramp up in Asia, I look forward to helping our partners, customers, and local governments across the region navigate their AI bottlenecks and transform a promise of AI into tangible economic value. Nebius is one of the fastest growing AI cloud companies. We all know this. They're going to, contract backlog exceeding 20 billion, 3.7 billion in cash, targeting ARR 7 to 9 billion. We all know this as investors here. Here's a little tidbit of his recent experience. So again, Twilio for 9 years in Japan, which is crazy. Well, first in San Fran, then he was in Singapore for 3.5 years or almost 4 years. Then he was in Japan, Tokyo for about 3.5 years. He then moved to Cloudflare and was there for 2 years in Tokyo. So he has the connections. He has the experience of scaling and being a part of multi-billion-dollar companies in these Asian Pacific regions. And like I said, I don't think it's a coincidence that in the time he was at Cloudflare, he experienced the Nebius story, and now he's moving over. But again, another crazy good hire, another super successful hire. I'm super pumped to see them just like continue to grow like wildfire. And it's just super awesome to see. Now, the next piece of news, again, yes, there's more, um, is Avride. So as we know, Nebius owns an 83% stake in Avride. Again, Manuel MVC Kuna, MVC Investing is at. Please give him a follow. I'm sure you guys, if you know him, or if you know me, you know him. So Avride's delivery robots have officially launched in Philly. Starting this week, Uber Eats customers in Philly can choose to have their meals delivered by Avride autonomous robots. The launch introduces the city's first delivery robots, marking a new milestone of a multi-year partnership with Uber to bring Avride's delivery robots and autonomous vehicles to Uber and Uber Eats across the U.S. So again, nothing crazy here. This isn't, give them some brand new valuation. Just wanted to show the continuous expansion, continuous growth of not just Nebius Cloud, but also their subsidiaries. Avride and ClickHouse are obviously the two bigger ones that I care about and most people care about. And so I wanted to kind of cover that as well. All right. So the last piece of news I want to cover is Nebius just came out really a couple hours ago saying that GPU hour pricing does not equal real AI costs. We commissioned semi-analysis to model TCO, so total cost of ownership, across LLM pre-training, multimodal LR or RL, and inference. Results. Nebius has the lowest TCO in all scenarios. Now, this is a super bullish claim. And so I want to dive in a little bit to the analysis itself. So here's a quick read on it. Calculating the total cost of the GPU cluster. GPU hour pricing is the most visible metric in AI infra and often the most misleading. Two providers may advertise similar rates, yet deliver very different total costs once utilization, reliability, and operational dynamics are factored in production scale. To get the bottom of a true cost of a cluster and quantify these hidden costs, Nebius commissioned semi-analysis to model 3 real-world workloads: large LLM pre-training, multimodal RL research, and production inference, and calculate the TCO, total cost of ownership, across different infrastructure providers. Now, interesting, look at this. Across all three scenarios, Nebius delivered the lowest TCO. AWS was 9% more expensive on a TCO adjusted basis when GPU hour pricing was held constant, and up to 113% more expensive when using semi-analysis real-world pricing, which is crazy, by the way. Silver tier providers were 4 to 8% more expensive on a TCO adjusted basis when GPU hour pricing was held constant. Inside the report was how infrastructure reliability and cluster design shape the true cost per completed model, how downtime, recovery time, and wasted compute quietly compound at scale, why networking performance and operational maturity determine real-world cluster productivity, and why Nebius can deliver the lower overall TCO even when headline GPU pricing appears comparable. Now, again, they have this interesting TCO formula for good put expense. I'm not going to go into do this whole thing. And you also can sign up here for the full semi-analysis study. I just wanted to kind of cover this real quick because I thought it was super interesting. I mean, they're claiming that it was 9%. AWS was 9% more expensive, which everyone always says, oh, the cloud providers are just going to copy what Nebius does and eat the lunch. We'll see over the course of the next 5 years. But I just wanted to cover that as well. As again, it's just more and more bullishness, more and more news they're dropping. And I wanted to cover that. So again, appreciate the support. Appreciate you guys follow along. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.